is Nurse. Why am I starting with my raid message? Hi, everybody. Hope everyone's having a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. We're playing Please Be Happy right now, and maybe somebody's missing. We don't know. It's a mystery. Maybe one of these people on the screen is not here. but yeah. So we're back with Please Be Happy. It's our 4th stream. We're like in the middle of chapter 3 or whatever. If everyone wants to go around the room and introduce yourselves, I have to pull up my character sheet because I always forget that I have a character sheet in this run. Let me do that real quick. My name is Nur, and I voice Cello, Elijah, and Silver.
Hello, my name is Tenten Arce, and I do all the narration, and I voice Miho.
My name is Moji, and I voice Aspen, Pippa, and Tommy.
And I'm Bravi, and I voice Juliet, Gwen, and Mr. Kim.
And I'm Matcha. I voice Armin, Cyrus, and Lena. I was muted.
Oh, we thought you died.
No.
Well, welcome back, Matcha.
Hello.
We thought you died.
We're glad to have you.
Did you catch when I said, like, last second, I'm gonna go grab my coffee?
No, I didn't.
I thought that was why you were laughing.
We didn't hear any of that.
I was muted.
Oh my god.
Just disappeared.
Yeah.
I went to go get coffee last second.
Wow.
You're getting coffee at 6 p.m.?
It's 7 p.m.
7 p.m.
It calms me. It also gets me waking up. It does whatever I need it to do. It's a miracle drug.
Just like snake oil. Just like snake oil.
It might just be a placebo.
I mean that too. Welcome in Distractions. Thank you for being first. Welcome in Salem, and welcome in Mon. Hi 1010 in chat. Hi Arsenic. Let's get started.
I noticed from pictures all around the cafe that they're advertising some kind of new drink that has bananas and chocolate in it. Being a little burned out on my usual, I decided to be adventurous. Can I get, that one? I point out one of the advertising pictures by the counter.
Oh, the banana slammer frapparama?
The employee grimaces a little while she says it, as if embarrassed to have even uttered it at all. She quickly adds,
The name is a work in progress. Aspen asked me what I want to name the new frap, and all I could think of was that on the spot. I'm really sorry.
I don't know what apologizing to me will really do. I just kind of smile and shrug, handing her my money. Needless to say, the next time I visit the Bell House, all the signs for the Jew drink are mysteriously gone. It's a rainy Thursday morning, and the library is as dead as I've ever seen it. Even Aspen didn't come by this morning, simply because she didn't want to get soaked. We'll see each other later instead. The only patrons here are the ones I didn't mind the weather, so I have to make sure that they don't drip on any of the books. Before she went to bed for the day, Juliet left a bundle of towels near the door for anyone who needs one. At least it makes my work easier, and the slow day means I have extra time to study. I'm able to remember most of the letters by now and even read a few words. I haven't told Juliet or Aspen about my progress because I want to surprise them with it later. After an hour or so, I set aside my pencil and gaze out the window with my chin resting on my palm. Huh, it stopped. It's still cloudy outside, but the worst of the rain seems to be over. I get up to walk to the window, looking around at the soggy view. I leap backwards in surprise as something suddenly splats against the glass in front of me. Whoa! Whoa!
Whoa.
At first it looks like a puddle of water that's stuck to the window, but then it starts to wiggle. I stare in confusion as a pitiful-looking face forms in its middle, then frowns at me. Oh no, it's a girl failure. Suddenly it hits me what I've been looking at. This must be a water elemental. I've never seen one for myself before now. They usually hang out in the rivers or lakes, but I've heard they'll sometimes come out onto dry land when it's rainy. That must be what this one did. Now that it stopped raining, though... Oh no, you could dry up! Just like a fire elemental could die if its flames go out, a water elemental like this could be in trouble if it doesn't stay wet. The weather might still be damp, but the sun is starting to poke through the clouds.
Thank you for the hydrate, Matcha.
Yes, I thought they could use some.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, wait right there. I'll go find something. I don't know if it can understand me or even hear at all, but I wave at the window and hold up one finger to try to show I'll be right back. After a quick peek to make sure there's no patrons waiting, I hurry into the kitchen and dig through the cabinets, hoping to find a pot or something that's big enough. The biggest one Julie has is the one that she uses to make pasta. Even that might be too small. Plus, I'm not sure she'd want the taste of water elemental to be there every time she tries to make spaghetti. Where else? I could just wake Juliet up and ask her, but I should really try to solve this myself before bothering her. Instead, I start hunting through the other rooms for something that might help. There's nothing in the bathroom nor in the library area. When I checked the dining room the second time, however, I noticed a big bowl on top of a shelf I hadn't seen before. Perfect. I had to stand on one of the chairs to reach it, but I grabbed the bowl and filled it half full with tap water before hurrying back to the window. The elemental's still stuck there, like a very sad bumper sticker. It already looks a little smaller, but it ripples with excitement when it sees me. Its brown shifting into a watery spot. Are you very detained by this stupid-ass thing?
I love him.
I head out to the front door, skip around to the window, squelching through the wet grass as I go. Here you go, come on. Holding the bowl up to the window, I gently brush the water elemental in. To my surprise, it doesn't feel like touching regular water. Instead, it's thicker and a bit sticky, like jelly. The elemental starts to slide into the bowl and bubbles, which I hope is a good sign. It doesn't mix with the water in the bowl, but instead kind of hovers, with water both above and below it. When it gets itself fully into the bowl, it almost fills it up. The water sloshes over the side and onto my hands, leaving the bowl almost dry except for the elemental itself. The bubbles stop and an uncertain-looking face peers at me from the bottom. Alright, let's get you inside and figure something else out. I'll hold the bowl as steady as I can and try not to spill anymore as I go back to the library. Just like the guests at the library, I have to make sure not to get any books wet. There's an empty side table near one of the reading chairs, so I set the bowl down there. The elemental seems fine for now, but it looks worried again. It reminds me a lot of Aspen. I'm not sure what else to try. I rack my brain, trying to think of something I might have missed in the bathroom or kitchen. Wait, that bathroom! That's it! Kneeling down in front of the bowl, I try to reassure the elemental, which is doing its best to stay absolutely still and not slosh. Okay, don't go anywhere. If you even can. Running to the bathroom, I plug up the bath and set the faucet to max. This ought to work for a bit. Leaving the water running, I go back and retrieve the bowled elemental. This time I end up spilling more of the water, but luckily it only hits the ground. The tub is about half full by the time we get back, which should be perfect. I turn off the faucet and carefully pour the elemental in. How's that? There's a stream of excited bubbles. Cool, sit tight and I'll find you something we can use to get you back to the river. More bubbles. Quickly, but not in as big a rush as before, I go to resume my search on the second floor. Because the place is so big, there are still a few rooms that I'd never seen. I'm pretty sure Juliet wouldn't mind me going in since they're trying to help someone out. The first room that I try is a closet, filled with towels and bed sheets and laundry stuff. The room after that is locked. That's weird. I try the knob again in case it was just stuck. Nope, definitely locked. I wonder what's in there. I never paid much attention to that door before since it's so far from my room. I drop to all fours to try to see under the door, but it's too narrow to see anything. Another nearby door isn't locked, and even better, isn't a closet. Aside from the door, which isn't particularly bright, it's pitch black from when I step inside. I flick on the light switch and the bulb fizzles and dies right away.
Hey, Tenten, what the hell?
What? It only takes a moment for my eyes to adjust to darkness, and what had at first just been dark smudges turned out to be a bunch of boxes and assorted junk. A storage room. The whole place is covered in dust. I guess Julie doesn't come in here either. Peeking into one of the boxes, it's filled with old kids' toys, like dolls and stuffed animals. Another one has some folded up clothes. Just as I'm about to give up and try another room, a half-covered object in the corner catches my eye. A heavy blanket is draped over a glass box, which is full of more random junk. I haul it all out and remove the blanket, smiling at my find. It's a big fish tank, just like the ones I saw at the museum. Score! After turning it over to shake out as much of the dust and debris as I can, I triumphantly take the tank to the kitchen sink and rinse it out before hauling it to the bathroom. Look what I found! When I set up the tank at the edge of the tub, the elemental floats up to the top of the bath and ripples. It takes some maneuvering to hold the tank under the faucet, but eventually I'm able to figure it out and fill it up. Then I use the bowl from before to scoop up the elemental and dump it into the tank. Perfect, right? More ripples and bubbles. Okay, let's get you to the river. I wrap my arms around the fish tank and lift. And nearly tear my arms off.
Oh.
That's heavy. I didn't notice when I was just getting the tank set up, but with all that water in it, it weighs a ton. It was way too heavy for me to carry to the front door, much less all the way to the river. This could be a problem. It had seemed so perfect, so lucky. Even after dumping out some of the water, I still can't carry it. Sitting down on the tile floor, I sigh. The elemental floats dejectedly.
Miho, what's going on? I heard the sinks and bathtub running.
Julia is standing in the doorway as I look up, wearing a look of concern on her face. Hey. It was raining earlier, right? Well, there was a water elemental on the window. I tried to bring it inside so it wouldn't dry up while I worked out how to get back to the river, but now I can't carry this huge fish tank that I found.
A fish tank? Where'd that come from?
It was one of the storage rooms, along with a bunch of kids' stuff. I'm guessing they came from the library's children's section? Julia purses her lips, and I feel my heartbeat start to quicken like it always does when I'm in trouble. Sorry if you didn't want me to go in there. I didn't know that room was, or what I was even looking for until I found the tank. I didn't look inside the locked room, though. Julia's frown deepens, but it doesn't look like she's angry, more like she's sad?
No need to apologize. You've done nothing wrong. Although...
I wait for her to finish her sentence, but it doesn't happen. Although?
Never mind, it's nothing. Let's focus on helping our friend here first.
She reaches into the tank and scoops a handful of the water before dripping it back onto the floating elemental. The creature seems to enjoy it, as far as I can tell. Any ideas?
Oh, an idea comes to mind after you mentioned that storage room. I'll be right back.
Okay. I sit back and relax as Julia departs. I'm glad she didn't get upset after all, but something was definitely bugging her. I wonder what it was. After a couple minutes, I pick up the sound of something rolling down the stairs. I stand up and poke my head out the door and spot Juliet pulling a red wagon behind her. It has a rope handle and isn't very large, but it should have more than enough space for the tank. Whoa! You're a genius! Double Demon Fang! With a smile, Julia parks the wagon next to the bathtub.
As you said, you were the one who gave me the idea. Would you mind helping me lift it onto the wagon?
Sure. We each take one end and carefully move the tank. Juliet also brought a number of tight straps to help it keep it in place. Once it's all set up, the elemental is safe and secure. I kneel down to get to face level with the glass. How do you like that? This time the elemental shifts into the biggest grin I've seen. Looks like we got a winner.
Juliet?
Sorry, lagging really bad.
Oh.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh,
Juliet's just really thinking about it right now. Like,
Ooh. Oh.
Oh. I wonder how Yuri Lowenthal feels about experiencing all this from the corner.
I don't know.
Yeah. What are you thinking over here, my little dude?
Inexplicable lagging.
Inexplicable lagging.
Yeah. What Brevi said.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Gotta love Comcast, am I right, fellas?
Fuck
I don't even know if that's
Comcast.
their ISP. I just blame Comcast for everything.
Am I back?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Okay.
Oh, you're
Anyway,
Okay.
wonderful. If I watched the library, would you mind taking it back home? You're welcome to borrow an umbrella.
No problem. Be back soon. Taking a towel and an umbrella for myself from the front door, I lead the elemental outside and onto the path. It's cloudy out and more gray than blue, but at least it's not raining out right now. Still, I don't want to waste any time. Is anywhere in the river okay? The elemental bobs up and down. I know just the place then. The muddy path slows down the wagon a bit, but it isn't too bad. When we go downhill, I have to be careful not to let it get out of the control, but other than that, it's pretty easy. From the bottom of the hill, it's not too far from the spot I had in mind. I noticed a small, abandoned ramp into the river way back when I was still living in the woods, but it wasn't useful to me then. Don't know why anyone built this place, but it sure worked out for me. Kneeling near the bottom of the ramp, I wrapped the wagon's rope around my wrist to keep it from rolling away, then undo the straps on the tank. Ooh woo. When both hands and I gently tilt the tank onto its side, the water and elementals spill out, flowing down the dirty concrete and into the river. Down, 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 down the river.
Down by the river.
The water begins to churn immediately, bubbling as if something huge is coming to the surface. A rushy sound echoes around the empty area before a torrent of water suddenly shoots upwards like a fountain, arcing clear over me. As I look up at the elemental shimmering within the water, catching the light from the sun, for one brief moment, the most beautiful, vivid rainbow I've ever seen hovers before me, so close that I could touch it.
Oh my god, it's foreshadowing that she's
Gay.
gay.
Then the water and elemental crash back into the river, and
Witchcraft.
everything goes still. I smile, certain that I understand. You're welcome.
Aw. Anywhere we need to go? Or
Nope. People
Okay,
can
cool.
chat choice.
Yeah.
Or
You
I
want us
choose.
to go somewhere?
I'll
Or
give chat a
10
few minutes.
chooses.
Yeah, I'll give chat a little bit.
Yeah,
Before I
get you
just
some
pick.
time. There's so many locations like Mount
Bell House.
Victoria. Huh?
And Oriental Bay.
And the Bell House Cafe. And the Botanical
Botanical Garden. And Cuba Street.
And the
And-
park.
And the park. All
Not
right,
the
chat.
Den,
I'm picking the Botanical Garden. I like
Yeah,
Botanical Gardens.
me too.
I'm feeling a little aimless, so I decide to spend a day in the Botanical Garden checking out the plants at my own pace. My leisurely browsing rewards me with some weird flowers I've never noticed before. They're green and red and shaped so weirdly. They almost have like they have little mouths with teeth. I know you're not really supposed to touch things at the Botanical Gardens, but I just want to see what those weird teeth petals feel like.
Mimo, no.
Poke.
No.
Ew, yeah, it's trying to bite me. What the hell? I reel my hand away as fast as I can, relieved to discover the plant has an extremely weak grip. As I do, it opens its maw up again, waiting for the next unsuspecting fool. Scary, scary. I didn't know there were flowers that could bite you. I'm gonna look at some normal flowers now, and I'll keep my hands to myself this time.
Mimo.
All day, it's been showering on and off. Raindrops still pattering on the roof even now. At least the frogs outside are comfortable. Ravi's
Ravi.
outside. Happily croaking away in the dark night. To stave off the cold, I keep the warm blanket wrapped around me while sitting up and watching TV. I don't really understand all the complicated things the presenters are talking about, but it's interesting to see their reports from all around the world. My ears prick up as I hear someone walking up to the door. A series of 3 knocks gently ringing out against it. Always 3, from Juliet. Yeah?
I'm making some tea. Would you care to join me? I can make some hot chocolate as well.
Sure, be right down. A warm drink sounds nice right now. Not wanting to leave my cozy blanket, I decide to hold it tightly around myself and waddle down to the kitchen with it. The stairs prove a little difficult, but I manage. New Juliet Sprite. There are already 2 mugs sitting on the table when I arrive, and the kettle is already steaming. As I take my seat, Juliet pours boiling water into each cup. You knew what I was gonna say before you even asked me, huh?
I had a feeling, yes.
She pushes my mug across the table. My hands peek out from my blanket to cradle it. Happy for the warmth, I hold the mug for a while before tasting the steaming hot chocolate inside. I like the hot chocolate you make even better than the stuff at the Bell House.
Why, thank you. I'm happy to hear that, although I imagine Aspen wouldn't be.
Do you ever go there? Now that I think about it, I'm surprised we've never gone together.
We haven't? Well, why don't we change that sometime then? Perhaps we could meet Aspen for breakfast there instead. It has been a while since I've stopped by.
Sure, I've never gotten any food from there, only drinks.
You're in for a treat then. They serve delicious pastries and sandwiches. There's a particular one that I know Aspen enjoys, although I can't remember what it was.
That's okay. I'm sure I'll be fine with anything they have. I can't remember the last time I tried something I didn't like.
That must come in handy when traveling the world so much, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, can't afford to be picky when you don't know the next time you'll even have options.
Have you found a favorite food or type of cuisine that you most enjoy?
Not really. Most of the time I just eat junk food or leftovers. Nothing really fancy.
Understandable. If there's ever a certain dish or meal that you'd like to try, it would be my pleasure to help make that happen. Perhaps we could even learn to cook it here at home so you could have it any time.
Sure. I tossed that onto the mental pile of if there's ever anything that Julia's offered me. I know she means well, but at this point I can't remember everything she said that about. The two of us continue to chat for a while, and I recount the full day's events with the water elemental to Juliet, wrapping up my story to the point where I come home from the river. Found down the river. Oops, that reminds me, I never put away the wagon. Let me know where it goes, and I can take it upstairs when I go back to my room.
A wagon? Oh, yes, of course.
Juliet quickly looks away, taking a sponge and busying herself cleaning some loose sugar off the counter, but it's obvious something's off. I'm not sure what to do. It's so rare that Juliet's the one who seems uncomfortable. In fact, this is the only time I can think of. Other than when I first met her, of course. When I sort of tried to steal that painting.
Yeah, only sort of.
Just a little
By
bit.
the way, who does all that stuff belong to? The wagon and the toys, that is. Were they part of the library children's section before or something?
No, they were personal possessions, not part of the library.
Oh, like from when you were a kid? I'm surprised you managed to keep them for so long then.
No, not my childhood.
Huh? The sponge stops moving, Juliet's shoulders slumping as she gives up trying to work. I feel a little bad for making her act so oddly. If you don't want to talk about it, that's totally fine. Sorry, I didn't know it was sensitive. I'm really, really sorry.
It's fine, you couldn't have known. Besides, perhaps it's only right that you know.
I'll never understand.
You never will.
No, what?
But we can try.
She turns back towards me, taking a breath before she continues. Her eyes don't look at me, though. They're looking past me.
Do you remember when, several weeks ago, I told you that I met someone who changed my life? Someone who made me want to be a better person?
Yeah.
Well, her name, my daughter's name, is Cosette.
MILF?
You have a daughter?
MILF?
MILF?
Who said that?
No,
Did you hear an echo?
MILF.
Did you hear something?
Things just start
No, I
making
don't.
more and more.
MILF.
Anyway, yes, and she's been the biggest blessing in many, many years of life. Although she's not of my own flesh and blood, she was my child. I found her on my doorstep one morning, tucked into a basket with a blanket and a scarf around her. It was very cold that morning, so very cold. When I opened my door, I saw the silent bundle there. I feared that she was dead. But she was not. She was so very alive, and despite the cold, so very, very warm. She was barely a year old, if that, and yet she didn't cry. She could have been there all night for all I knew, but she never uttered a sound. I brought her inside, of course, just so she wouldn't freeze. Beyond that, I was panicked and confused. I'd never wanted a human child. I didn't even know how to raise one. To this day, I don't know why whoever abandoned her chose my doorstep to leave her on, of all places. But how wonderfully, impossibly lucky I was. Because she didn't cry, I thought she might be mute, but that wasn't the case. She had a great deal to say, and as she got older, she would talk and talk. Every word was like music, a melody to my ears only. I felt so fortunate and so unprepared. I suddenly had the life and well-being of another in my own hands, her future, her everything. It was a responsibility I had never asked for, and likely would have never asked for if my life hadn't changed that day. She grew and grew from a curious baby to a precocious child, then to a confident young lady, and finally to a lovely woman. I couldn't have been more proud as a mother. Every graduation, every breakup, every smile and tear changed my life. As my daughter, of course it would be true to say that I raised her, but it was mutual. She also made me into the person I am today.
Once Julia finishes speaking, I let out a breath I don't remember holding. Just as when she first started speaking, her gaze is still fixed on the empty wall somewhere above my head. Just like when Aspen gets sucked into one of her books, I can tell that Julia's mind is somewhere else entirely.
The moment that I resolved to raise her, I made a promise, to myself and her. A promise that I would do all in my power to make the world Cosette lived in and grew up in a better one than I had experienced. That I would show her how to find the beauty and the joy in all things dark and terrible. In a sense, I ceased to exist as a single person. My life was no longer my own. It was tied forever and always to another.
So all those toys and things.
Yes, the treasures and mementos of another life. Of happy days filled with laughter, of scraped knees and tummy aches, of heartbreak and homecomings. I keep them there as not simply a reminder, but a tribute to those times.
Well, I would have never guessed any of that. I never knew you were a MILF.
A what?
A gaze returns to me, to the world that we're in now. She gives a little smile, but it looks fragile.
Do you hear those voices, or is it just...
No.
Never mind. Well, I suppose it's not something I speak of very often. The
I always
voices
hear voices,
tend to
Juliet.
come out. Oh,
I always hear voices.
We're always
Oh.
here, Juliet.
Does she live here in Wellington? Can I meet her?
Milf.
No. Julia regards me with a strange look, similar to earlier. With the elemental. It's not that she looks angry. It's like she's thinking about something very hard. Maybe those voices.
No.
I stare back, not sure what else to do, or what I might have said wrong. Like always, her expression soon softens.
he is in Wellington, yes. A bit of a walk, but not too far. We can go in the morning if you'd like. It's been a little while since I have.
Sure, fine by me. I guess it is getting kind of late for a visit, huh?
It is indeed. Speaking of which, I actually have some business I must attend to myself. Will you be all right on your own, Miho?
Oh, yeah, of course. Don't worry about me.
Have a good night then. See you in the morning.
See you. I'll be ready to go first thing. No.
If you find those voices, let me know, okay? Good night.
Where in the
as
walls, Juliet?
As Juliet leaves, I watch her go. It might just be me, but it seemed like she left in a hurry after saying all that. Maybe she and Cosette had an argument about something, or maybe she just didn't want me to meet the other people in her life. I'm probably just imagining it. The way she talks about Cosette is so different to the way I've heard Julia talk about anything or anyone else. I can tell she cares a lot about her. Hopefully it'll make more sense tomorrow, after I get to meet her. When I finally decide to head up to my room, I take the wagon back first, as promised. I have to pick it up and carry it to get to the stairs, but fortunately it's not that heavy, even with my blanket bunched up inside. Once I get to the second floor, I put it down and drag it to the rest of the way to the storage room. After pushing the wagon into its empty spot, I take a proper look around, now that I know what this room actually contains. More than just toys, I also spot racks of clothes and stacks of books and all kinds of other belongings. The whole room is pretty packed. Slowly making my way to the door, I carefully maneuver between a rocking horse and a dollhouse, taking care not to step on anything or knock it over. Taking one last peek around before I head to my own room, I get the feeling that there's something missing from Cosette's childhood in here. Nothing missing. I can't say for sure, but it certainly seems like Juliet hasn't let anything go. The morning air is fresh and crisp, the plants around us looking healthier for the drink last night. A handful of small puddles here and there are all that remains of yesterday's rain, likely to be completely dried up in a few hours. As I stand by the front door of the library, Julia walks up beside me and unfolds her parasol, bringing it over her head.
Shall we depart? It's about a 30-minute walk from here, so perhaps we'll take a ride back here once we're done.
Yep, will you be okay in the sun with that?
Oh yes, it's still early enough that I don't need to worry too much.
No tadpole in your head?
No.
Lead on then. Stepping out into the brilliant morning, I stretch and roll my shoulders. It's a nice day. It's not too cold and not too hot. Probably a comfortable 72 degrees. As always, Juliet's steps are measured, and even as she walks. Her parasol bobs with each step, making it look like she's wearing a big hat from this angle. I smile myself to the image at the image as I skip along beside her. Even with the protection from the sun, it's rare to see Julia out in the daytime. So, I was wondering something.
Hmm?
If your daughter lives so close, then why doesn't she come to visit more often? I've been here for a couple months now. Although she clearly heard me, Juliet doesn't answer. Maybe it's too personal a question because things are tense between them. I've never seen Juliet not answer one of my questions before, so I don't push it. Juliet remains quiet as we keep walking. This isn't unusual for her, but I still feel a little awkward. Sorry if I shouldn't have asked that.
No, it's all right. You'll see when we get there, though.
Okay. We head in a direction that I haven't explored before. We're in the same area as the gardens, but not quite the same spot. A massive green hill watches over us from one side, while trees blanket the other. After crossing a small bridge that runs over the highway, we reach another beautiful area. The concrete path we walk along is lined with bushes and flowers and the occasional decorative lamps. There are a few houses peeking through the trees which ring the area, but most of the field is still covered in nature. Whoa, we're getting close?
Yes, we're very nearly there. This is Bolton Street Park.
She's pretty lucky to live in a place like this, huh?
Even as a child, Cosette had an affinity for the woods and trees.
I get that. I bet she would love to be able to turn into a bat or a fox. I'm taken off guard by Juliet letting out a great laugh. I don't think I've ever seen her like this. A little giggle or rarely a chuckle from time to time, sure, but never anything so relaxed and sincere. A grin spreads on my face just from watching her.
I think you're right about that.
There are only a handful of houses around the park, so I wonder which one is Cosette's. Time and time again, we walk on past the turns which lead to any of them. Just as I start to wonder where it is we're going, Juliet slowly comes to a stop. The main path forks into two here, but the one to our left is a well-trodden dirt path. There's a sign, but I can't quite read the writing yet. Everything okay? We're not lost, are we?
Heavens, no.
A number of tall trees shade the path that we're on, giving enough protection for Juliet to slide her parasol shut. She takes a deep, silent breath, then smiles and gestures down the offshoot before us.
It's right this way. just a little further.
Nodding, I follow again as she leads us onwards. Right away, I notice that something is a little off. Julia's steps are slower and a bit more uneven, like she doesn't want to get to wherever we're going. After a few minutes of walking in silence, she takes one last turn off from the path that we're on, leading me up to a small hill dotted with trees. Once we reach the crest, Julia comes to a stop. Still confused, I step up beside her.
Here we are.
Huh? I don't see... Oh. In the shade of the trees in the gray stone monument, its edges are rough and worn from time, but it's spotlessly clean. There are others like it nearby, practically identical. Words are carved into the stone, too small for me to read easily. I've never visited before, but I realize what this place is. I silently mouth the letter to the word at the top, even though I'm pretty sure I know what it's going to say. There's a C, and then an O, and then an S. Cosette's grave is preserved perfectly. I'm sure Juliet would stand for anything else. I'm sorry, I didn't...
It's okay, Miho. I'm aware you didn't know, but I wanted you to.
She turns back to the grave, gently running a hand over the curved stone.
My beautiful, precious daughter passed away years ago, almost 2 decades by now. She lived a long, full life and spent her final moments with those she loved. The last words she told me, the last words she ever said to me.
Juliet's shoulders shake without a sound as I stand there helplessly. She shudders as she takes a deep breath.
Were that she couldn't have been happier.
What was she like?
She was so many things that it's almost impossible to answer. I think you would have liked her. I'm sure she would have loved you. She was adventurous and free, and sometimes stubborn to a fault. Once her heart was set on something, there was no stopping her. Everything she did vividly, to the fullest. Even if the very laws of existence told her something was impossible, she would try anyway. She was endlessly kind, with compassion for every living thing. From the smallest insect to the largest, most ferocious beast, she saw value in all of them.
She gives a small smile as she looks at me, even as tears well in her eyes. I gulp to try and force down my own emotions.
Should have seen her as a child. She would talk your ear off, both of them if you'd let her. There wasn't a single person near us who didn't know who she was, so open and free was she. That warmth and care, it was the core of her life. If she saw someone in need, she would rush to their aid. It just came naturally to her. If you or I see someone hurting, we may choose to help. For Cosette, it wasn't a choice, it was simply who she was. To know her was to adore her. Every day that went by, I was more and more proud of her. Those virtues never faded a bit. Even on her last day, she was worried for me more than anything. I promised her that I would.
Juliet sobs, dragging her hand across her face. All I can do is watch. My own emotions a storm that tosses me in all different directions. The pain in Juliet's shaky voice is enough to make my own breath tremble. But beyond that, there's something else. Something eating at me that I don't want to acknowledge. Juliet turns back towards the grave, taking a couple steps closer. Unfurling her parasol, she held it over her shoulder like a shield. Guarding herself against the sunlight, she is also able to stand a little straighter.
I promised her that I would live as she did, to honor her memory, with kindness and with virtue, and with compassion and patience for all. That I would ensure her legacy lived on in the many lives she had touched. It was only in the days that followed her passing, as I wandered lost and alone, that I truly began to understand how much she'd saved my own life. The gift she gave me was something I'd never had before. purpose. How very silly and irrelevant things such as wealth and prestige began to seem after that. Those were fleeting concepts born of some misplaced need or desire. There was something that could be much greater, something well beyond money and power. Love. As a word, it's difficult to understand. To hear the poets speak of it, there's nothing mightier and nothing softer. Love was either everything or it was nothing. It had always seemed so trite, so immature, an attempt to create meaning where there was none. And yet, I found that the poets were right. They were so right. You and I, Miho, to be able to live on, unaffected by time's curse, must surely seem like a blessing to some. But time is meaningless without something to fill it. To those of us who walk alongside Father Time, rather than fleeing him, it's awfully lonely. When I first became a vampire, I told myself that I had no more need for humans, and that I was beyond them. Now, I realize I was afraid. It's a simple contentment and joy that can only be found in experience and age, I've learned. Wisdom does not exclude humans. But to look on as one's vibrant hair fades to grey, and as one's strong hands soften their grips, as one's treasured memories become distant, there is pain. To watch someone you love grow up is beautiful. To watch them grow old is to suffer. Cosette lived into her 80s, a good long life for a human. Even as her flesh started to fail her, her mind never did. She was sharp and as a sword and quick as a fox. For a human, there is no kinder, gentler end than that of old age. And every day I'm thankful that Cosette was one of those lucky ones to slip away peacefully and painlessly. As I held that soft, shaky hand for the last time, I wished desperately that I could trade places with her. I would have done anything to just give her one more day. But there was nothing to be done. Cosette passed on with no regrets and a smile on her face. She lived as full a life as any human could live. And when she was gone, I was still there, my flesh not a day older than when I met her. It was then that I realized what a cruel gift immortality could be. What a slow, repetitive torture if I chose to let it. So, for the sake of Cosette's memory and of the promise I made, I swore that I would continue to live as I had not lived before. For virtue, for friendship, for others, for tomorrow. Die is human. To live is a privilege.
With absolute clarity, the storm inside me calms as I pass through its eye. There's a sense of finality in Juliet's words, which leaves them ringing in my ears as I stumble backwards without thinking about it. To die is human. All humans. Cosette, someday Aspen, but also even mine, my person. Understanding hits me like an arrow to the heart. I barely notice the look of surprise on Juliet's face as I transform, turning tail and fleeing into the forest. My person, the one I searched for my entire life, is dead too. Long dead. No matter what happened after they left the forest, the nature of their human lifespan means that they lived lifetimes ago, generations ago. As I run farther and farther away, one thought echoes above the others. All this time, all these years, all these decades, they've been for nothing. I dig my claws into the earth with every step, tearing at the roots and leaves. I do know the name of the feeling pulling and tugging at me, the one that had taken over Juliet as we stood there, one I've heard of but never felt until now. Grief. Every lie, every theft, every struggle and hardship, everything for nothing. The word swirls in my head, a dying leaf drifting towards the ground, falling and powerless to stop itself. Finally, I come to a stop, not even knowing where I am and for how long I ran. I just stop when I lose the will to run anymore, transforming onto my knees. Every decision I've ever made, every place I've ever gone, had all been in service of one dream. Over time, I grew to rely on it. I didn't ever have to think or make a difficult decision for myself. Instead, it was like I had a path to follow, however long. But that path wasn't actually leading me anywhere. All it did was take me far away and leave me on my own. Rising to my feet, I look around the area. Although the trees and slopes remind me about Mount Victoria, I don't recognize it at all. Juliet's nowhere to be seen. The sprawling sunlight means she couldn't join me here even if she wanted to, even if she found me. I wonder if she's looking. Juliet, who always seems so calm and put together, behind that mask, she was hiding all those feelings. What else don't I know about her? What else has she been keeping to herself? Is it just more pain? An ice-cold chill runs down my spine, making me shudder as I realize something else. She must have known, too, that my person was dead. She must have figured out right away, yet she never told me. Aspen, too. Suddenly every pained look or topic change I brought up Jong-in makes sense. They both knew and were hiding everything all along. This whole time letting me go on and get my hopes up without ever stopping me or telling me the truth. It was so simple too, so obvious. If I had just thought about it for just a bit myself, I realized that humans live and die much faster than my kind do. Sighing, I sit down on the grass, wrapping my arms around my knees. I mash one palm into my eyes to wipe away the tears that are there. Stop crying, Miho. With a few deep breaths, I manage to fight away the stinging pressure and keep myself from breaking down even more. I sigh once I'm certain it won't turn into a sob. Now that the initial shock has worn off, the pain in my heart has gone from a sharp stab to a dull throb. Aside from pure survival instinct, death has always been distant and faceless to me, now that I have to look it in the eye. My time with Jong-in was short, thousands of times shorter than the time I spent looking for them since then. Still, it was all I had. Where do I even go from here? The sun is getting higher, so Julie must have made her way home by now. She might even be waiting for me to come back. We both know I have to at some point. It's getting hotter too. Shakily, I rise to my feet and look around again, actually trying to get my bearings. If I have to, I can just go back in the direction I came from until I find somewhere familiar. I start walking back towards the library, since it's the only place I have to go. I may think of it as home for now, but I can't help but picture Juliet's sobbing face. Mortal or not, there has to come a time someday where we don't see each other, and that will be the end of our memories together. Or at least her memories of me. The same goes for Aspen, as mortal as Cassette. Aren't I just resigning myself to feeling this pain again someday, potentially even stronger? Maybe she was right, the other Gumiho. Maybe I don't belong anywhere. By the time I get back to the library, I'm exhausted from the walk and sun. I throw open the library door and go inside, walking past my empty seat at the front desk. Juliet's nowhere to be seen, only patrons. They always manage just fine without me, though. Plodding up to my room, I grab my blanket from my bed and wrap it around myself before I lower myself to the floor. That's when the tears hit me again, and this time I can't hold them back. Slouching onto my side, I don't even try. There's no point. As I expected, in less than a minute, there's a sound at my door. 3 knocks. Always 3.
Miho? Is that you? Are you alright?
I don't respond. I don't even know if I want to see Juliet right now. She's part of this too, after all. She pauses outside for a moment, but only a few seconds later, Julie opens the door anyway.
Oh, Miho.
The pity in her voice tells me everything I need to know. I can only imagine what I must look like, covered in blankets, lying on the floor. I must look pathetic, childish. It must be how I always look to her.
Miho, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Juliet trails off, still just inside the door. I can see her legs and cane, but not her face. I can picture the concern on it, too. Didn't mean to what? The words come out as a growl, surprising even myself, but I can't pretend. Not now. She lets herself in here. She can deal with it. Her cane sways from side to side as she wrings her hands, almost knocking into the wall more than once.
Mean for you to put things together this way. Such a painful way. I wanted to.
So you did know. I cut her off without thinking, as she confirms my suspicions. With one arm, I push myself up, letting the blanket fall away from my face as I glare daggers at Juliet.
Pardon?
You knew? Slowly, I rise to my feet. My head is pounding. I can hear my blood pumping as anger rises through me, bubbling out like liquid magma. All this time, they've been dead and you knew, didn't you? You probably knew from the first time I told you about them, right? She stiffens, and then Juliet sighs deeply. It's all anyone ever seems to do around here.
Did, yes.
Why? Why didn't you tell me? Although tears are beginning to choke my voice again, I manage to shout out my question, my accusation. I've been looking like such an idiot. I'm already an idiot compared to you and Aspen. Every day I'm reminded of that. But this really takes the cake, doesn't it? I've been wasting my whole entire life over something everyone else can figure out right away.
Miho, it isn't like that.
Then why? Why didn't you tell me sooner? Or Aspen? She knows too, right? Juliet nods meekly. My eyes burn and my nose is running. My face hurts in every way possible.
We didn't know how.
Know how? What do you mean, know how? I can't keep myself from shouting. I feel so stupid, so angry, and so sad.
Please, Miho, try to understand. We were still just getting to know you. You barely trusted Aspen or me. If we just told you that the person you were looking for was deceased, we didn't know how you'd take it. You might not even believe us, for one thing, or perhaps it would give you cause to try and run away again. As the weeks went on, we wanted to, but it never seemed to be the right time. Neither of us wanted to be the one to, out of nowhere, bring your whole world crashing down. Not when you were trying so hard, you seemed so happy. It felt more cruel to ruin that, in a way. I'm sorry, Miho. I truly am. It was wrong of me to let it go this long without saying anything, but believe me, I only hesitated out of love, Aspen and I both. We simply couldn't bring ourselves to break your heart that way.
Fat lot of good that did. Juliet sniffles, and I have to look away. I don't want to see her cry again, not while I'm already like this. Stooping down to the floor, I pick up my blanket back up and wrap it around myself. Even as I do, I can't help but think of how it's not really my blanket. It's Juliet's. She just lets me use it, just like everything else. Go away. To my relief, she doesn't try to argue, doesn't even say anything else. She just nods and silently leaves the room. The second the door shuts behind her, I collapse into my bed, put my pillow over my face, and succumb to my grief. And Yuri Lowenthal's upside down. My everything hurts when I wake up. Damp pillows still covering me. My head and my face hurt from crying. My body hurts from passing out in an uncomfortable position. I didn't even mean to fall asleep. I must have cried myself into it. The memories of yesterday don't even give me a chance to wake up before they flood my brain, pulling a groan out of me in response. I don't want to get up. I don't want to leave my bed. What's even the point? Still, I know I have to. I have to see Aspen within the next few hours and Juliet too eventually. I don't know what to say or even what I want to hear. As much as I'd like to just avoid everything and everyone, the rational part of me knows that I can't. Instead, my magic and bead force me to conform, like always. Either get up or be forgotten. It's not really much of a choice. I sluggishly get dressed and wipe down my face, which is still red from crying. Then I trot downstairs where we normally be having breakfast. Except it's Later than usual. There's food on the table for me, but it's long since cold, and I can hear the sounds of conversation and movement that mean the library's already open. Life goes on, with or without me. I cram down the slices of cold toast and brownie and apple without really tasting them, just knowing that I need the nourishment. Then I wandered up to the front of the library, where Julia is seated in my spot at the desk. When she noticed me approaching, I could see her struggle to decide how to greet me, uncertainly plain in her eyes. I can't decide either, so I settle for a stiff nod. Hey.
Good morning, mijo.
Her voice is awkwardly stilted. It seems out of place for Juliet. I gesture at the stack of books next to her and the half-filled checkout sheet. You can go to bed. I can take over from here. Juliet shakes her head, looking a little more confident in the motion.
No, it's all right. You're in no state to be working today. Let me handle it instead.
Really, it's fine. A patron starts to approach the counter, a couple books in his hand. I start to reach for them, but Julia stands up, blocking me off.
Good morning. All set to check out?
I let my hand fall to my side. The person checking out books looks a little confused, but settles on talking to Julia instead of me. Fine, then. If she wants to, she can do it. She has that same practiced tone of voice when it comes to helping a stranger that Aspen does. Aspen calls it her customer service voice. To me, it's the same how I sound when trying to deceive someone or get something out of them. The only difference is I'm not sure I could pull mine off now, like she can. Then again, it seems Juliet must have always been good at hiding her feelings. Wordlessly, I turn around and step out from behind the desk, passing by the guests and out my way out the door. From the corner of my eye, I can see Juliet watching me as I go, even as she deftly handles the checkout. The fresh air is an instant relief, and I gulp it as I stretch out my arms, just basking in the sun for a moment. I start walking to the Bell House because I need to see Aspen before it gets too late. Fortunately, we had a late breakfast yesterday, so I have a bit more leeway than usual. I do my best to keep my head empty on the way there, because if I let myself think, it'll turn bad. So instead, I just focus on putting one foot in front of the other and on paying the minimum amount of attention to get to my surroundings, just enough to get me there. Aspen herself is working the counter when I enter the cafe, and she waves eagerly when she sees me.
Oh, mijo. I was just thinking of taking my break early to come see you. Juliet said you were feeling a little under the weather this morning.
I make my way up to the register, staring blankly at the menu. I could actually read some of it if I tried, but I'm not.
I can see what she means. Are you alright?
I shrug. Yeah, I'm fine. Let me get, The names of the different drinks that I like all swirl around in my head, but somehow picking one feels like an impossible challenge. I wasn't actually planning to stay or get something to drink, I just started ordering out of habit. Whatever you recommend. Frowning, Aspen taps something into the machine. I reach for my wallet, but she waves a hand to stop me.
It's on me. Go sit down and I'll bring you something soon.
Thanks. Leaving her to that, I trudge to a booth and sit down, resting my head on my arms and closing my eyes. I could have just come inside and left again as soon as Aspen saw me, but I know that it wouldn't feel any better anywhere else I could choose to go. At least this way I get a free drink out of it. I don't open my eyes again until I hear the sound of Aspen setting a cup down in front of me before taking a seat for herself. Thanks. Again. Sitting up, I have the taste of whatever it is Aspen brought me. It's scalding hot and bitter. What's in this?
Coffee.
What else?
Espresso. You look like you need it.
Gingerly, I take another sip, bracing myself against the heat this time. One of your recipes?
No. I don't know who invented it, but it's been my go-to for years when I need to pick me up. Don't you feel more awake now?
The aftertaste lingers in my mouth, but I drink some more anyway. Unfortunately.
Then it's doing its job. You really do look a mess, though. Are you crying?
As soon as Aspen takes a second to look at my face, I see her take on that same look of concern as Juliet. I raise my cup to my lips again just to hide myself. Yeah. There's an awful scrapey sound as Aspen slides her chair a little closer to mine, taking one of my hands in hers. I pull away immediately.
Sorry, I should have asked first. Wrong. Did I do something?
Her face starts to redden, and I already know what's coming next. It's fine. I don't know how to respond, so instead I opt for a question that's been lingering on my mind. Do you know who Cassette is?
Cosette? No, I don't believe I know the name. Is she a friend of yours?
No. Don't worry about it. If Aspen doesn't know, I'm not going to be the one to tell her. Still, it doesn't surprise me in the slightest that Juliet never mentioned her before, even though the two of them are supposedly close friends. As for my human, though, might as well get it out there. At least then we'll be all on the same page. I found out my person is dead. Although I've been sitting with that thought for hours now, it's the first time I've said the words out loud. To my own surprise, they come out as steady as everything else. At least I don't feel like I'm gonna cry.
Oh,
Finally, I glance at Aspen herself. Just like Juliet, I could see her eyes widen and mouth drop as she tries to think of something more to say. And you knew, didn't you? Her hand toys uselessly with a bandaged straw wrapper on the table.
I suspected as much. Yes.
I sigh, not surprised at all. I don't even have the energy to be upset, compared to when I was dealing with Juliet.
I'm sorry. I.
It's okay. Juliet already said it.
I'm saying it too. I'm sorry. It seems you probably didn't find out in the best way. Not that there is a best way. That was why we were afraid to tell you. We didn't know how. Actually, I'm just gonna stop talking.
Really, it's fine. I cut her off flatly before she can start over apologizing. Being apologized to makes me uncomfortable, like an inch I can't scratch. Putting my chin in my hands, I look out the window into the sunny day outside. It's as nice as it ever is here. I just wish you would have told me. In our reflection, I see Aspen nod.
If it makes you feel better, we're going too soon. We already decided, but not on how. I assume Juliet told you?
More or less, yeah. She said something that made me figure it out.
I see.
Both of them just accepted my being upset so easily. Neither of them tried to argue or anything, just apologize. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Just like I'm not sure if Aspen words makes me feel any better. But also I had to ask what I'm getting out of doing this to myself, and to her, and to Juliet. Sitting here silently, stewing in my emotions. What felt like burning rage last now feels less explosive. I do wish they'd been more honest with me, but they were both just trying to be nice. It's not like I haven't done the things they were afraid of before, like run away. When that's the case, is it really okay to still be upset with them? Sorting through complicated emotions is difficult. I like when things are straightforward, and I know how to be sad or mad or something else. Right now, seeing how sad it's also made Juliet and now Aspen doesn't make me feel any better though. If nothing else, I should at least tell them how I feel, or try to. Closing my eyes for a beat, I make a first real decision since leaving for Cassette's grace with Juliet yesterday. Are you busy tonight? I want to talk with you and Juliet, together. She startled at the sound of my voice. I guess she didn't expect me to say anything else.
I'll be there. Just tell me when.
I don't know yet. I have to ask Juliet, but I'll have her let you know.
Okay, that works for me.
I stand up slowly and Aspen does the same. I can tell from the way she's still fidgety and nervous, though, that something's bothering her. There's a tiny pop as she snaps the paper straw wrapper in half.
Can you tell me one thing, though? Are you leaving?
She's really worried about that, isn't she? I feel a bit more confident about one thing as I shake my head. No, I won't go anywhere.
Oh, botanical gardens are only option. Okay.
Yep.
Oh.
We
I forgot
Wahoo!
me going, oh yeah, this part of the fucking chapter.
we had to
After
flip
getting,
them over.
just flip him over, get real fucking sad.
Yeah.
After getting back to the library, I made the same request to Juliet about being able to talk together. Not only did she agree, she suggested that we go somewhere else, just for a change of pace. We shared a quiet taxi ride up to the Botanic Garden, not far from Cosette's grave. Neither of us tried to talk, which suited me fine. I spent the whole ride trying to think about what I want to say. I imagine Juliet did the same thing.
Thank you for the care package. Ugh.
The taxi driver drops us off as close to the entrance as possible, tipping his hat as thanks as Juliet pays him before driving away, leaving the two of us mostly alone. There are a few people around, but more of them are leaving than entering at this time of the evening. One of those people, a figure sitting in the bench reading, stands up and approaches us. When they step into the light, it turns out to be Aspen.
It's certainly a new feeling to be the one waiting instead of waited on.
Hi, Aspen.
Good evening, Aspen. I hope we didn't keep you waiting for long.
No, not at all. Besides, I can hardly complain when it gives me an opportunity to catch up on some reading. Though, about exploring the gardens a little, I thought about it, but I wasn't sure I'd be able to find my way back out.
There are worse places to be lost, at least. Thank you for indulging my request to come here in the first place.
Was a good idea. Not to say the library's gotten boring, but
We never really go anywhere else. I feel better now that I did this morning. At least enough to make a couple jokes. A lot of things still weigh heavily on my mind, but I'm determined not to just be an emotionless rock. I wouldn't help anyone.
precisely. I've never been here before either, so I'm eager to see the gardens.
It's been a while since I've been here myself, but I believe I remember a nice spot I used to visit with.
Instead of finishing her sentence, Julie simply begins walking. Her cane makes a steady click, click sound as she taps against the stone path. Aspen reads off some of the signs as we pass by, signs which I, of course, have never given a second glance at.
Stonebridge Gully. That sounds rather poetic. Perhaps I'll use it in a story sometime. Ah, Pine Hill Path, too. Whoever named these gardens was having fun, weren't they?
Juliet still seems preoccupied, not ignoring us, but not seeming to paying much attention either. She does wait while Aspen pauses to read one of the big signs that talk about the gardens. She writes a little bit in her notebook, then scurries back to us.
Sorry. One of the photos there caught my eye and I had to take some notes for further research. I hadn't realized there was more to this park than just one garden.
Really? Like what?
There's an old estate for one thing. Also another garden just for native plants. There's even a cemetery not far away that's apparently part of it.
The steady rhythm of Juliet King misses the beat, but she keeps walking. After a short uphill stroll, we reach our destination. A small brick path just jets off the main road, leading to an overlook covered by a glass roof. There are a handful of benches around, but all of them are unoccupied.
Would this do?
Oh, Juliet, it's breathtaking.
I have to agree. Aspen walks slowly to the edge of the overlook, pressing a hand against the glass as she looks over the view. I stand beside her and do the same. We're higher up than I thought, with a good view from the rest of the Botanic Garden from here. I even spot the main gate. Far across, the same rolling green hills that I noticed a couple days ago tower over us. Though she smiles, Julia doesn't join us, instead sitting down on one of the benches.
What do you think, Miho? How does it compare to some of the sights you've seen?
It's pretty nice. I like the view from Mount Victoria better, though.
Oh, it's been quite a while since I went up there. Perhaps I should see it myself sometime and compare.
You should. You can see the library from the top. I used to go there to clear my head before I started living at the library.
I'll be sure to invite you along then.
She lingers for just a moment more, gazing out at the darkening sky, before taking a seat on the bench across from Juliet. Only I stay standing, pacing back and forth. Despite the pleasant chatter just a moment ago, now that they're all here and settled, both Aspen and Juliet sit quietly but expectantly, waiting for me to speak first. Since I was the one who asked them to come here, it falls to me to start the conversation, but where to even begin? I've been thinking about all day, and I decided that maybe I should just start from the beginning. The very beginning. I never told you about anything about my person, right, Jongin? They both shake their heads. I take a deep breath, and clearing my throat, I close my eyes and cast my mind back to the forest all those years ago. I was just a regular fox back then. I don't know how old I was. Foxes don't think like that. All we know about is eating hot chip and lying in the sun. That was all I really did.
Damn it.
All day long. No hobbies or jobs or responsibilities. Just existing. I knew what humans were in the same way that I knew what leopards and bears were. Big and scary and something to avoid. It was rare to see one in the forest, but it happened. Most of the time, they were noisy enough that you could hear them from coming far away and hide. There was the first thing that was different about my person. Jongin. I was taking a nap on one of my favorite spots, an old log that had fallen over. Jongin came all the way and sat down before they woke me up. And when they did, I panicked. I ran and hid as fast as I could. I think they were surprised too. They didn't try to catch me or stop me. Instead, they kept their distance and tossed me a little bit of the meat they were eating. I didn't trust them and didn't know what they were sharing, but still pretty good. So I grabbed the food and ran away, and eventually they left. When I went back to my log the next day, Jongin showed up again too. I ran away again, but they still didn't chase me. It would let me back on my own. We did the same thing the next day, and the next day, and the next. Then one day, I was in a new part of the forest. I liked wandering around even as a fox. I wasn't paying attention to where I was going when I suddenly felt like my leg was on fire. I didn't know what it was at the time, but I walked right into a trap that a hunter left. I couldn't move as much as I tried, and it's still the scariest thing that ever happened to me. I was sure I was gonna die. Finally, Jong-in showed up. At first I thought they were there to finish me off. Instead, they were worried for me. They knelt down and got my foot out of the trap, and then wrapped it with part of their shirt to stop it from bleeding. That was when I finally figured out they weren't gonna hurt me. I kept going to the grove to see them, and they kept being there. I let them get close enough to touch me after that. Still, they didn't do it much. I was only there to check on my leg and make sure it was healing okay. One day I went and they were waiting like always, but they brought me a lot more food than usual, and they gave it all to me, hardly anything themselves. After I was finished, we sat together for a while. They sat on my log and I laid in the grass nearby. Finally, they got up and like usual set two things on the ground. One was a bag of food, the same as they had given me. The other was a little paper scroll. They patted me on the head for the first and only time. Then they left our grove. At the time, I didn't think there was anything special other than the extra snacks. But then it was the last time I'd ever see them. When I came back the next day, they weren't there. I waited just in case they were late, but they never showed up. The scroll they left and some of the food were still there. Other animals had taken some of the food, but they didn't want the paper. I took the scroll with me when I left. I didn't know what it was, but it was theirs, so it had to be important. My only option was to carry it in my mouth. I went back again the next day, expecting them to show up, but they never did. I don't know how many more days it took before I realized they weren't coming back. Once I did, it was all I could think about. I kept looking for them, but I couldn't find them as much as I wanted to. But I didn't even know why I wanted to see them so badly, just that I did. While I was thinking about that, I started to choke. Something came out of nowhere and was stuck in my throat. Oh god, it was the hot chip.
No.
Finally, I coughed it up. A bead! I'd never seen it before and definitely never swallowed it. I left it and went back to my den, but it was waiting for me there too. No matter where I went, it was always waiting. So finally, I touched it with my nose. Everything after that happened so fast. One second I was there, just a normal fox. The next I was in this new form. Not sure how or why. Something came to me naturally. Just like using my new body and walking around 2 feet. Even how to turn back into a fox. But I still thought I like an animal and acted like one. I didn't even know any words I could even think with. I had to learn those and all kinds of other human behaviors the hard way, after getting chased away from villagers and strangers that I met. Over time, I learned how to hide and blend in and steal and just how to survive. I followed Jongin's scent all the way to the ocean. I've never seen so much water, not even close. I had no idea just how huge it was. I boarded a ship like Jongin had, not knowing where it would take me, somewhere different than the one they took. I had been looking for them ever since. When I opened my eyes again, they're heavy with tears, but this time I don't even try to hide them. I didn't mean to talk for so long, but once I started remembering, everything else just came naturally. Turning to face Aspen and Juliet, I see that they're crying too.
Oh, Miho. They sound like they were a wonderful person.
I can see why you never stopped searching for them. They were truly special, weren't they?
Yeah, they really were. Remembering how their hand felt on my head, how the softness of their touch as they inspected my leg, those thoughts hurt as much as the hunter's trap did, but also, they make me smile too. I often worry that they might have forgotten me, but I don't think they did. They only knew me as a fox before I had any magic, so their memory should have stayed intact. Their days weren't long, but they were special. To me, I hoped Jongin too. And so, I don't want to let them become painful memories. I want to smile when I think about them. Anyway, I'm sorry for getting so mad at you yesterday, Juliet.
Thank you for the care package.
True. And for how I acted this morning with you, Aspen. I know that you both just wanted to keep me from getting hurt. But that's another thing too. I feel like you're always looking after me, or taking care of me. There are a lot of things I'm still learning, but I'm not weak. I've taken care of myself for a long time, you know? So I don't want to be like that anymore. I want you to be honest with me from now on, both of you, even if it's something that would make me sad or angry. I promise that I won't run away without saying anything. I won't just disappear no matter what happens. Because if we're really friends, then we should trust each other, right? That's one of the things I've learned. Having said everything I wanted to, I finally sat down, taking a spot between the two of them, just like at breakfast every morning. For a second, the three of us sit there quietly, then Juliet begins to speak.
I hear what you say, Miho, and I agree. You're not the only one who's still learning things, you know? I have a long way to go too. For years, I felt it for the best to remain open and guarded, but if I maintained a comfortable distance, even from those I call my dearest friends, then I'd be protecting myself. But never getting to know anyone too well, and by withholding any meaningful details of my life, I thought to avoid the pain of loss again. But all I've done is keep myself from experiencing the joy of companionship again, while even causing hurt to others.
Companionship, you say?
Milf?
There's that voice
Okay,
again. It's
Mel.
followed me here.
Milf.
Sounds like a virus.
I'm not too experienced when it comes to being honest myself, or perhaps only honest to a point. But you're right, Mio. That isn't how it should be. From here on out, I'll endeavor to be more open, more real with both of you, for myself and for you.
Juliet looks in our direction, but in particular at Aspen right now.
As such, Aspen, there's something that I'd like to tell you.
Jesus Christ. She begins telling Aspen about Cosette, in much the same way she told me yesterday. I sit quietly and think about what she said. Hearing Juliet describe herself reminds me of me. In the end, we've always been running away, haven't we? Despite how perfect and put together Juliet's always seemed, she's actually been struggling just as much. She was just better at hiding it than me. As Julia recounts the vow she made in honor of Cosette, I see Aspen listening with rapt attention, like when she gets really absorbed in one of her books. When Julia finishes her story, both of them have to wipe their eyes. Aspen rummages around in her bag and pulls out a small pack of tissues, offering one to Julia before noisily blowing her nose and wiping her eyes.
That is certainly a lot to take in. Thank you for telling me, though. Cosette sounds like she was a wonderful person. Just like Jongin. I wish I could have met her.
I wish you could have as well. She would have had endless stories to recount, and I know she would have loved to share them.
As for all the other stuff, first of all, I promise to both of you that I want us to be truly friends as well. I don't have anything quite so dramatic in my past, but certainly I know how it feels to be performative. I can hardly fault you for curating your self-image when I do the same thing. It's kind of funny, actually, and a little scary to hear you talk about Cosette and Jongin. Because as someone who we will one day be past tense, I often wonder about how I'll be remembered when I'm gone. Not that I expect that to be anytime soon, but still, I hope that someone speaks of me just as fondly someday. There will be more than enough time for me to worry about that in the future, though. Right now, I'm glad we had this conversation. It was worth the near panic attack I had earlier, wondering what would be said tonight.
Me too. I still have a lot to think about, and I'm still sad. But I don't want to be sad forever and eat hot chip. I know it's not what they would have wanted for me either. But I do know that I'm lucky that I met you two, and that you're my friends. I wanted to stay like that. Maybe not just friends. Who knows? My cheeks burn from saying something like that out loud, for the first time ever. But I like saying it, because it's true. Although I already made up my mind to stay, it's our sitting right here in the middle of the gardens that I know I made the right decision. For all the doubts I had, all the struggles, I'm thankful that it happened, and I can finally admit that to myself. Maybe it won't turn out the way I expected, but for once, I'm content with my life right now.
Well said. And don't worry, Miho. We're not going anywhere.
Even if it's not always perfect, it doesn't need to be. Just like Juliet.
Miho, I'm glad too. First time you stepped into the Bell House was one of the luckiest days of my life.
All I have to do is keep trying. Like Aspen. So maybe another first time would be appropriate. Holding off on the bench, I grab Aspen's head and Juliet's hand and pull them together to their feet too.
Aww.
Then,
Oh.
spreading my arms as wide as I can, I pull them both into a hug. Without hesitation, I feel them embrace me in return. From that first day at the cafe, all the way to now. It's chilly out here in the gardens, in the cool evening air, but it's warm and Aspen in Juliet's arms, and I smile to myself, and to them, and to anyone who may be watching. Fuckers. Mine too. After spending a bit more time walking around the gardens last night, Julia and I went back to the library and Aspen took a bus and back to her apartment. Once we got back, I fell asleep almost immediately. My brain finally gets some relief from all the days of the emotions from all of that last few days. In the morning, once I go downstairs for breakfast, it's pleasantly familiar. Toast, eggs, and fruit like always, and conversation about books and work in Wellington. I have to clean it up, but before Aspen departs, Juliet clears her throat.
By the way, Aspen, I do believe this weekend is a special occasion, am I correct?
I had been trying to ignore that until now, but yes.
Wait, what? What happens this weekend?
This Friday is my birthday. A brutal reminder that, like, time won't wait for me.
Whoa, humans have parties for that, right? Are you gonna have a party?
No, I'm not turning 12.
How old are you turning?
Not 12.
I thought parties were a thing you got to do your whole life. That's not fair that only 12-year-olds get to have them.
It's not like that. They're just one of those things that you grow out of.
Boo. Boo.
Why?
Husband.
Why? What?
Why do you grow out of them? Her brow gets some more creases, like she's trying to explain this as much to herself as to me.
It's just part of being an adult.
Boo.
You get older and older, and you reach the real world, and then you don't feel like having a party, I suppose.
And you start having voices in your head.
I milk all the time. You have those? You have those too.
All the time.
When you're young, it's exciting getting older. Because there's so much you can't do as a child. And once you're an adult, you realize that what you thought adult life would be like, real. So instead of being excited that there's cake and ice cream, you start worrying about how many calories are in each.
Boo.
What's a
tomato,
calorie?
tomato.
Never mind.
You know, Mio has a point. You're quite the party pooper, Aspen.
She does.
I do?
You're never too old to have fun, as you both went out of your way to remind me. 25 can be just as much a reason to celebrate as 5.
I suppose you're right. For the record, I'm only turning 24. Thank you very much.
No, she's losing it.
Still, I'm not the partying type. Plus, I told my parents I'd go visit them this weekend. Just for a day, mind. I'll be back well before 24 hours have passed. Don't worry.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm sure they'll be overjoyed to see you.
I'm sure they will be. At least for a little while. I still wouldn't want to stay for more than a weekend, even without Miho to keep in mind. Longer than that, and my mom and I would probably go crazy. I'm not leaving Welly until late Saturday evening, though. Would you mind going with me to the bus stop on that day, Miho? Just to be extra safe?
Yeah, of course.
Even without a party, would you let us treat you to dinner on Friday evening? We can go wherever you like.
That would be nice. Thank you.
Red Lobster?
No gifts, though, or Red Lobster.
Oh.
Quite my thing. It won't be a party.
Can we tell the waiters that it's your birthday?
Yes, they'll sing you a song if we do.
Fuck no.
You might get a free cake.
I will walk out if you do this.
Free
And I
cake,
will
though.
go to the nearest restroom and cry my eyes out.
Oh, well.
Oh, please don't do that to me on my birthday.
That's easy, because I wouldn't know what to get you anyway. Where do you want to go?
I'm not sure yet, but I'll let you two know. Maybe you can come over on Friday evening and we'll go from there.
Come over? Where?
To my apartment. I do have my own place to live, you know.
But you're 12.
Then I was 24. Try multiplication.
She hasn't gotten there yet, Aspen.
Right. Very true. She hasn't even learned her full ABC. And well, it isn't anything special, but I felt I should at least like to see it. Only if you want to.
Of course I want to.
I mean it. It's the definition of average. I'm not even sure it can fit 3 people.
I
Maybe
live in the-
2, because there's only 1 bed. I
Oh.
mean, sorry, just forget I said that.
I lived in a dirt hole for most of my life. I can handle anything, even only 1 bed.
Good point. You'll feel right at home then.
Jesus Christ, Aspen.
What the fuck?
I'd love to come visit as well. Thank you for the
Right, you're
invitation.
coming too.
Yes, I am.
Great. I'll clean up and make sure the cats are on their best behavior.
Wow.
Babies!
It's been quite a while since we've had company.
Babies!
I can't wait. The three of us chit chat for a little bit longer until it's time for us to split up for the day.
Miho, do you have any plans for the day?
Nope, yet. Why?
I was planning to go see it soon. Would you like to come with me? You're more than welcome to, of course, Juliet, but I imagine it's rather late for you.
Unfortunately so. I'll be up a while longer, but I wouldn't be able to make it through an entire movie. I hope that you enjoy it, though.
I understand. Miho? It's fine if you don't want to come along, but the showing starts in an hour, so we need to leave soon. I'd prefer to go there before it gets crowded.
Huh. Hey,
Oh.
chat!
Oh, is this?
Oh my
No,
god.
it is not
It's not.
the route
It's
lock-in.
not? Okay.
Oh, so it's just the scene. It's just a scene
It is
thing.
pick a scene, chat. Do you want to be with Aspen or you want to be with Julia? You want to see a movie?
Are we
or
gonna-
rest of-
Are we gonna go watch Twilight in theaters, or are we gonna just chill at home?
Wow.
But this will not lock in a route.
Okay. But we can watch Twilight with Aspen if we want.
Oh my god.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's totally what's happening in her route. Or we can watch Twilight at home with Julia.
We have Twilight at home.
Yeah. Where are we
Yeah,
watching
okay.
Twilight?
Doesn't choose. I'm rolling a d20.
Uh huh.
Anyone choose? No? Okay.
No.
D20 says, 1, the opposite of what Nira wants to choose.
Uh, I was leaning towards the movie, so I guess we're hanging with Juliet. Well, all right, rest at home with Juliet.
We have
I'm not-
Twilight at home.
Yeah.
I'm not really in the mood for Twilight today, I think. Sorry, Aspen.
Don't worry, we can watch with all the commercials at home.
Fine. Maybe another time.
Yeah, definitely.
Guess I'll have to stare at Alice all by myself.
Aspen gathers her things in the parts, talking about someone named Alice, when Juliet remains in the kitchen with me. So you're not gonna go to sleep yet? It's the time you usually do, right?
It is, yes. As I said, I won't be up too much longer, but I have a few tasks that I'd like to finish up, and there is a movie on that I really would like to watch.
Like what? Anything I can help with? Well, you're in the library. I don't really see anything that needs to be done.
I'm afraid not, although I appreciate it. It's for my research services. You're welcome to come keep me company, though, if you'd like.
Sure, I forget you do that sometimes.
I tend to work on it at night, after you've gone to sleep. Come, let's head to my study.
I follow her up the stairs into her office. She sits down at the desk and opens up her laptop, while she moves a stack of books and papers closer to her.
Oh, and there's only one chair. Oh my.
I walk around the room a little, examining the shelves. There aren't any bats in the corner today. Where's Astarion? I never noticed how many books there are in here. I know Astarion. All the library shelves downstairs are full. It seems like there must just be as many books in here, maybe even more. Some shelves have even more than one row to them. So it's stacks built in front of stacks.
Astarion's adventuring today, but the shelves are old and fragile, and not suited to be handled by so many people. Others travel between the shelves down there and appear as I need them. Some aren't books per se, but essays or diaries or treatises.
Picking a book at random, I carefully remove it from the shelf and examine it. I'm able to read the sole word on the cover. Astarian. When I open it up, it's full of handwritten pages. I return it to its place. And you've read all of these?
Heavens no, I don't think even I've been alive long enough for that. I've read some, of course, others I only skim through as needed. Still, others were entrusted to me for safekeeping rather than their academic or entertainment value.
I take a seat in the chair across from her. Sounds like a lot of work.
Can be. There have been few requests as of late, but I'm honored to be entrusted with them. Whether it's a family photo album or a half-written novel, Aspen, many people have memories and legacies that they'd like to preserve, but may not have the means to do so. So I hold on to them here, and over time, generations even, they were sometimes remembered and asked about, or even taken back. Either by the person who first brought them, or by a family member seeking to learn more about an ancestor. There are hundreds of years of history in this room, and I'm not just talking about you and me.
Damn! It takes me a second to laugh. I'm not used to Juliet making jokes. So, what exactly is it you do?
Come here, I'll show you.
She gestures for me to join her beside the desk with only one chair. Turning to her computer screen so I can see it, there's a photo of a fabled person with antlers like a deer's.
This gentleman passed away several decades ago. Recently, I was contacted by one of his grandchildren who was still young when it happened. He said that his grandfather once made it into one of the Wellington newspapers, and I was hoping I could find the article.
Did you?
And see for yourself.
She gestures to a folded newspaper lying in the stack of papers nearby. It's so old that it's begun turning yellow, and the edges are all frayed. But sure enough, there's a grainy black and white photo of a fabled man, although he's way younger in this picture.
He had taken first prize in a singing competition at a local fair, and his picture was featured along with a summary of the event.
I look a bit closer. It's hard to tell, but he's smiling in the photo, next to a trophy with the name Matcha on it. Karaoke.
Whoa.
Whoa. I can't believe you were able to find this stream.
What, your stream was in a newspaper?
I
No,
hear that rather
course.
frequently. And it's rewarding every time. In this case, I've already scanned the article and sent it to the grandson, so now I just need to return this paper to its proper place and download the stream and archive it.
I walk back around to the other side of the desk and sit down again.
This one was on the simpler side because all I had to do was peruse newspapers from that time and also relook at Twitch. More complex requests that require consulting multiple sources can take me much longer.
Jeez, I had no idea. He must pay you a lot, right?
That's funny. No, I don't ask for any payment. So there's a reward in its own right. I find it fascinating to revisit so many different pasts.
That sounds like Aspen talking about books, visiting other worlds.
Yes, it's quite similar, although Aspen most prefers fiction and novels to this sort of thing.
Maybe someday you can have a copy of her book in here too.
So I hope so, although it would deserve to be downstairs where it can be freely enjoyed by all and it has to be finished first.
That'd be nice. I hope lots of people read it when it comes out. Juliet smiles in agreement and begins to open up the books and lay out documents. I get up and browse around some more, examining the shelves. She said I could keep her company, but watching the way she's reading so intently, going from source to source, I know I'd just be distracting her if I try. Eventually, I try to quickly slip out the door, but Juliet notices me.
Are you leaving? I'm sorry, I haven't been a very good host.
It's fine. I can tell you're really busy. Thanks for showing me everything, though.
Of course. Thank you for joining me.
Anytime. You're gonna go to bed after this, then. So I'll see you later.
That's right. Have a great day, Miho.
You too. Good night and good luck with your work. Waving goodbye, I step out into the hallway alone.
Oh man, where can we go now?
Anywhere!
Yeah.
Whoa.
I thought the side stories would pop up at this point.
Nope.
Teehee!
Oh, we have Oriental Bay, the cafe, Cuba Street, Botanical Garden, the park, and Mount Victoria.
Nerd, do you want to choose? Or matcha?
Matcha, do you want to choose?
Let's go to the Bell House Cafe.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. An employee I don't recognize is working the counter today at the cafe. She asked for my name with a terse but polite smile and bags under her eyes. Oh, she's like me, for real, for
Oh my
real.
god.
She must have come in early or something. I mumble my name for her absentmindedly and walk off to find a seat. Machi, you want to do this one?
Fairy kiss chiller for Mimo.
Mimo.
Ellipses!
Fairy kiss chiller for Nemo.
Mimo.
I glance around, but everyone sees them firmly situated with their drinks and phone, and not a soul stirs at the order being called. When my eyes sweep over the employee, she's desperately trying to lock eyes with me. Huh? Me? I'm Mimo? Feeling a little dazed, I take the drink with the employee, and she thanks me and nods. So this is my drink after all.
Well, you are now.
I look at the film a minute later on my cup that assuredly say Mimo. Mimo. That's a new one. I want you to know that was added after fans memeing the name, I'm pretty sure.
Oh my god, that's perfect. I love that.
Pick another place. Nerd, I guess you choose.
I want to get finding Mimo. I'm gonna go to the waterfront.
Wow. The view from the waterfront is really just the best on a clear day. I take a long, refreshing sit and enjoy the seemingly endless expanse of water. So it's like just a sight of nature without any expectation. My patience is rewarded by the sight of dolphins passing by.
Evil.
Wow.
Evil.
They're far away, just as small as close to the dorsal fins moving in groups, but they're unmistakably evil dolphins. I whip my head around and it doesn't seem like anyone else has noticed them, but I guess nobody else is really staring out to the horizon either. What a surprise!
Aspen's home.
Later in the evening, Aspen sends a message to Julia to let her know that she's all ready for us to come over, and the two of us walk down to the address she gave us. Julia leads the way, of course, since I don't know many of the streets by name. We eventually arrive at the unremarkable looking apartment building, just a few stories tall and without any decorations out front.
This is the place. I believe she's on the ground floor.
Not too far away, one of the doors swings open and Aspen pokes her head out to wave us over.
Miho, Juliet, over here.
Aspen! She holds the door open with one hand while pushing something away with her feet.
No, stay back, you two.
I freeze, halfway to where she is. What's wrong?
I said no, not you. Miho, I'm talking to the cats.
Aspen gestures for us to come inside while keeping an eye on the floor. Julia and I hurry in, and Aspen shuts the door behind us.
Well, ta-da! Or something.
Whoa! The entire place is just one room, except for the small bathroom. Right across the door is a tiny kitchen area with a fridge, stove, and microwave. Everything else is basically a bedroom. There's a dresser, a small desk with a computer, and Aspen's bed itself. Some luggage and boxes are scattered around where I'm guessing were part of Aspen's cleanup.
I hope that was a good kind of woe.
It's lovely, Aspen. I adore the fairy lights and plants. They make it feel very welcoming. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks. It was a good woe, don't worry. I don't really have any expectation, but I'm still kind of surprised by how small it is. I figured she'd be exaggerating that part at least a little bit. The decoration make it feel fitting for Aspen, though. 2 pairs of green eyes peek at us from around the corner, and both cats go dashing under the bed as we step further in.
Sorry, there's not more space to sit down. You can see why I don't have company over very often. You can sit on the bed if you'd like, or the computer chair.
It's fine. I'm okay on the floor. She's like me for real, for real. I take a seat with my back against the dresser, while Julia sits down on the bed as invited. Aspen ends up taking the sole chair for herself. Almost as soon as I sit down, I spring back up, remembering the occasion. Oh yeah! Happy birthday!
Yes, happy birthday, Aspen. Here's to another wonderful year.
Yeah, thank you. This year has been pretty good, I must say.
Narrowing my eyes, I inspect Aspen, who notices and frowns at me.
Can I help you?
You don't look any older.
I'm glad to hear that. It doesn't just happen overnight on your birthday, though. Not that you would be aware of that, I suppose. Anyway, enough about that. Are you two hungry? We've already done everything there is to do here, I believe. Now you understand why I never have people over.
It's fine. I don't mind just sitting around, but yeah, I'm always ready to eat.
Have you decided where you want to go?
I think so. There's a seafood restaurant that isn't too far away from that I enjoy. But don't go very often. Does that work for the both of you?
I'm okay with Red Lobster. I just like food.
Indeed, it's your birthday, so we'll have whatever you want.
Even Red Lobster.
Even Red Lobster.
Alright, let's get going then. Red Lobster ho!
The restaurant is a bit of a walk from Aspen's apartment, but it's a nice day, so I don't mind. We end up at the pier not too far from the museum I visited. It's not a very big place, but it's bigger than the Bell House itself. Half of it juts over the ocean itself. We get seated right away at a long table with metal stools. It sure smells fishy. Thumbs up.
It's supposed to. That means it's fresh.
Our waiter brings 3 menus, setting one in front of each of us, and promises to come take our order soon. Aspen and Julia both pick up their menus and start to flip through, so I do the same.
Let me know if you need help reading anything, Miho.
Lobster.
Oh, very good!
Fortunately, there are plenty of pictures. The Bat House could learn a thing or two from here, but I'm able to read some of the words like fish and corn. But there are others that I don't recognize at all. What do you usually get here, Aspen? A Red Lobster.
Well, they're most well known for their crab. It's very easy and expensive, so I've never had it.
Kinda weird, huh?
Interesting.
I usually get the clam chowder or fish and chips if I want to hate myself later.
Oh. What's chowder?
It's like a thick soup.
Oh. Isn't it hard to eat clams? I've tried before, but I couldn't get past the shells.
They do that for you. No shells involved.
Whoa, that's nice of them.
I'm sure they'd be glad to hear that. Is there something that you usually order when you go out to eat?
I never been to a restaurant before, unless you count the Bell House. Well, not a paying customer at least. But I know how they work because I've seen them on TV. You ever heard of Gordon Ramsay?
Oh no, not those. Well, I hope you enjoy your first time then.
I will. Lobster.
Both of you, feel free to order whatever you'd like, even lobster. Don't worry about the price. We all had Red Lobster, after all. Aspen.
Don't worry. I wasn't.
Right!
A nearby door swings open, and for a second I can see into the kitchen as another waiter comes out, carrying a big bucket. A number of spiny claws and legs poke out of it. Wait, is that lobster? They take the bucket to another table and set it down, along with a big pile of napkins.
The crab, yes.
Oh. I watch intently, curious how these people are going to get past the shells.
You shouldn't stare, you know.
I ignore her. I have to know. They grab some utensils I've never seen before, and they use those to crack the shells. I watch, fascinated while they do. Turning back to Aspen and Juliet, I've made up my mind. I want lobster. Clams were too hard, but I used to love eating crab. It's been a long, long time since I've had it, though.
It would be nice to try at least one.
So is this lobster or crab? I'm confused. Either way, sounds like it's settled then. We're breaking the bank, so go ahead.
Our waiter shows back up, a few glasses of water in hand, and Juliet orders for all of us. The waiter takes the menus back, saying our food should be out before too long. I sip my water and look around, enjoying the new experience of being at Red Lobster. Have you ever been here before, Juliet?
I haven't. As I'm sure you know, I don't go out to eat very often. I've been to similar restaurants before, though.
You went to the Bell House back when it first opened, didn't you? I seem to recall you telling me that once.
Did, yes. I can still remember what I had. A chai latte with a blueberry scone.
Were you working there yet?
Oh no, it was a few years before I came to Welly, though. Although, Regina, my boss, wants to expand. There's going to be a second location opening in a couple months. She asked me if I would consider being store manager.
Congratulations, that's quite the honor.
You get to run the whole place?
I would still be working for her, but otherwise, yes. I haven't decided if I want to do it or not, though. It would be a lot more work and responsibility, obviously. It would take up much more of my time, too. I'm not sure if I want to put myself through that.
Don't do it, Aspen. Don't do it.
Just like me, for real, for real.
Don't do it, Aspen. That's very understandable. I do think you'd be well suited for it, but don't.
Yeah, you already do a lot at the other Bell House.
Thanks. Yes, it is tempting. I told her that I'll think about it and give her an answer by the end of next month. That building it's been in is already a coffee shop, so it won't take too long to convert. It all depends on some other things, really.
Like what?
Well, for one, I'd been thinking about keeping this a secret until I hear back, but I finally finished the draft of my manuscript. I sent it off to a few publishers to see what they think.
No, Aspen, don't do that. One at a time, one at a time.
Congratulations, Aspen. That's a stunning, if inadvisable
Nurse having
achievement.
PTSD!
I'm having PTSD right now. Only one at a time, Aspen. Don't do it.
But
Yeah.
if I do it all at once...
No. Blacklist you.
Yeah, what are you gonna do with all your free time now? You're gonna go to Red Lobster more?
Thank you. That is a good question. I'm sure I'll spend plenty of it worrying. Other than that, I will need to find some ways to fill my day. If all goes well, then I won't have time to help out at the new store. I'm getting rather ahead of myself, though. It's only been a little over a week since I submitted it.
Oh, I hope it works out for you. I hope you don't get blacklisted.
I had me too.
We sit and talk about the usual stuff for maybe 15 or 20 minutes before our waiter comes out to the kitchen, carrying a giant bucket like the one we saw earlier. Aspen and I both gasp in awe as they place it on the table before us with a flourish, giving us a stack of napkins and tools like the other group.
Well, let's not just stare. Dig in.
I don't even know where to start. I grab one of the pieces close to me. It's hot! So hot I drop it on my plate. Aspen does the same thing with a yelp of pain. Julia, on the other hand, seems totally unbothered as she calmly claims a portion for herself. She's a vampire, after all. Leaning in close, I blow on my food to try to cool it down. While I do, I watch Juliet and observe how she does it. She smiles as she notices me watching and turns her hands to give me a better view as she uses the tool to crack the shell and get to the meat. Aspen seems to know what she's doing too. Once it's cool enough for her to handle, now I just need to give it a try. I try to mimic what I saw Juliet do, and after a few minutes of squeezing really hard, it finally works. Lobster. Not a lot easier than trying to use my own claws.
I should hope so.
I pile it onto my fork and take a big bite, finally getting to enjoy my prize. I feel my eyes go wide with how good it is.
Enjoying it?
Yeah! I quickly finish the piece I was eating, then rush to grab another one. And it's a lot easier to crack now that I know what I'm doing. For a while, the only sounds coming from our table are those of us enjoying our food and the occasional sip of water. When our waiter comes by to give us refills, they look a little shocked at how much we've already gone through. When the bucket is finally empty, I sadly toss the shell of my last piece into the waste bag. Juliet seems to pick up on it.
Are you still hungry, Miho?
Hungry? No. Do I need more? Yes! That was delicious. Please don't order a second bucket. Juliet glances at Aspen, who shrugs.
I could eat more.
Next time the waiter passes by, Julia flags him down with a smile.
Could we get a second order of
Oh.
this, please?
It feels like it's my birthday instead of Aspen's. By the time we get through the second bucket, even I can't eat anymore, and we leave in the restaurant in a bit of a daze. I don't know if I've ever been this full in my life.
Me too. I think I'm set on crab for a long time now. Thanks for dinner, though, Juliet. It was wonderful.
Of course, it was my pleasure. I hope you've had a nice birthday.
I certainly have. Now I can make it back home. I'll call it a success. I feel like I've put on several kilos just from that meal.
Would you like me to call you a taxi?
No, it's fine. Walking some of this off will be good for me. I still have to pack and get ready for tomorrow.
I suppose Miho and I will head home as well then. Does that sound okay, Miho?
Yeah, let's just walk slow. I manage a weak wave. Bye, Aspen. Happy birthday again.
And thank you again. Good night to you both. I'll see you tomorrow.
Aspen trudges off, but Julia somehow seems unfazed.
Shall we be off?
Taking a deep breath, I steel myself for the long walk home from Red Lobster. Yeah, let's go.
I think we're gonna call it here.
Okay.
Is this gonna be a long scene?
It is the part where we almost get to choose a route, I think, actually, or the scene of the route.
Ooh.
Oh, really?
But I think it's still quite. I think it's still quite
Still off?
long. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll
But
save
this
it for
is,
next
like,
time then.
The start of the scene, or
Yeah.
start of the bit.
Okay. We'll save it to next week then.
Woo!
Yeah. Menu. Save.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, I just need to do that then. Okay. Well, anyway, thank you guys for joining us for more Please Be Happy. We'll be doing this again next week.
Red Lobster.
Red Lobster.
Oh.
Yeah. Red
Crab
Lobster.
legs.
Bread
Crab.
mobster.
Red Mobster.
Red Lobster.
That's my new bakery. Hey.
Masha, you like said nothing this stream. I feel bad.
Bread lobster. Bread lobster.
I feel bad too. I was like, right,
Red
this
lobster.
is this part of the fucking chapter.
Yeah, like the
This is a good
drama.
watch, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and Macha just sitting back to like, man, this is sad.
Yeah, it sure was.
Man, it'd suck if we'd had to read this. Good thing we aren't, eh, Macha?
Yeah. I had enough of reading about my sister turning into a monster and eating my best friend's mind.
Oh man.
And then becoming
Oh,
a
boy.
monster myself and being like, I'll never be human.
Yeah, I'll never be human. We're gonna raid Mist of These today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me cue it up. Yeah, I have a new cover releasing on Thursday. That too. That's a thing.
Mhm.
Ooh.
Yeah, I pinned it during while I was reading.
Yeah, I know. I saw it. You little shit. Uh-huh. You done laughing over there? Okay. Anyway, we'll see you next week for more. Everyone say bye.
Bye.